Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's geography lesson. My name is Cynthia Zondi, and my co-presenter for today is Rina van Heerden. She will join the lesson as and when we continue. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with the Saibono Discovery Center. Okay, boys and girls, we are now preparing for tomorrow's exam. So we are going to look at climate and weather, and then we'll also look at some of the aspects on geomorphology, and we'll also look into some Mapwork revision. Right. What I just need to put up front is that please note that myself and Rina, we don't know what is in the exam. We just trying to prepare you on some of the exam skills that you need to have well ahead of tomorrow's paper. We don't know what is in the paper, and Nothing in this lesson is as per the exam, but we're just looking into the content that you've been taught throughout the year. Right. So at the end of this lesson, you will have an idea on how to prepare for the paper one that you are writing tomorrow. So we are going to look at the layout of the paper. We also are going to look at the study tips that we share with you, and then the exam writing techniques, as well as the important aspects of answering the questions to focus on. And then also we are going to look at some of the exemplar questions, because we need, when we prepare you for the exams, we need to apply all this into the examples of the topics that you've been dealing with. So these are the objectives of the lesson, and then you are writing this prelim paper one tomorrow, Wednesday the 10th. It's Wednesday the 10th, and then the duration of the exam, of which now I think you are getting familiar with being seated in the exam for the entire duration. You are going to start writing at 9 o'clock until 12, which is 3 hours. So your exam, it's 3-hour paper. And then the total mark of the exam is 150 marks, which we really want you to work as hard as you can so that you can obtain good marks in that. As I've indicated, that we are going to look at climate and weather. So the sections of your paper are as follows. You are going to have question 1, which has climate and weather topic. And then within this section, or within this question 1, there are short objective questions, which is either 1.1 and 1.2. And then either of the two, it will be out of 7 marks or 8 marks. And then this gives you the 15 marks of the short objective questions. And then moving on, you've got your 1.3, which is a source-based question. So it can be a diagram, it can be an infographic, or it can be a case study. So that will be 15 marks. And then 1.4, again, it will still be your source-based question for 15 marks. So here now, this is where you find your low order type of questions and middle order, as well as the high order type of questions. But all of them, they would be spread out in this 15 marks per sub question. So 1.5 as well, it still is a source-based question. And then also what you need to note is that from these 3, the source-based question, you will also have your paragraph question that can be asked in any of the 3 sub-questions. Right, so this totals 60 marks. So your question 1 is 60 marks. Then what we are going to look at again in section B, section A rather, which is now your question 2, where now you will be looking into the topic of geomorphology. And then here with geomorphology, it's question 2. So your 2.1 and 2.2 are your short objective questions, of which either of the 2, it will be out of 7 marks or 8 marks, and both these are out of 15. The short objective questions would total 15 marks there. And then there'll be another source-based question for 15 marks in 2.3, 2.4, as well as 2.5. And again, from these 3, one of the 3 source-based questions will consist of a paragraph question. And The attitude is you should try by all means to answer all the paragraph questions so that you can get your good marks. Don't come into the exam with the attitude of not answering any of the paragraph questions. So please prepare yourself to answer those paragraph questions. Right, so this section also will total your 60 marks. So up to now, we have your 120 marks, which is from section A. Then your section B, which is your Mapwork section, that is question 3. So for question 3, you are going to get your 10 marks from the map techniques as well as the calculations. So with calculations, since it's your paper 1, and from the previous experience, we cannot overrule the fact that you need to prepare yourself for all the calculations, nonetheless, which paper. So you have to prepare all the calculations that you've been doing throughout, and other map techniques that you can be asked, which are equal to 10 marks. And then, so if you want to also check the typical map techniques questions that we are referring to go into your past exam question papers so that you know what questions are asked within here. So questions such as your map index, your coordinates, all those can be asked in this section of 10 marks. And then we've got your map interpretation. So your map interpretation, boys and girls, this is now the integration of the theory and you apply it onto a map. So some of the aspects that you were taught in climate and weather as well as in geomorphology are going to be tested in this subsection, which is for 12 marks. So we integrate your theory onto the map. And then lastly, your 3.3, it's the GIS, which is 8 marks. So with GIS, you try by all means to make sure that you study all your concepts from knowing what is GIS as a concept and all other concepts that you have in your exam guidelines as well as your ATP that you were taught of. So it's concepts that you need to know as well as the application of geographic information system onto our geographical issues that we relate to in the world in the world. Okay, and then we're looking at this subsection, which is equals to 30 marks that is coming from all these subsections that I have indicated. So that is the layout of your paper. And in total, you'll be writing your exam out of 150. So you have to have your target of the marks that you need to work out for so that you can have your good mark. I don't think there's anyone that is aiming for any mark as low as 30%. However, we really should strive for better marks as and when you deal with any of these subsections. All right, then how then do you start preparing or just to enforce your preparation? You have to visualize the processes while you are studying. So as and when you are still going to have some session of studying this evening, you have to visualize the concepts that you are studying. And then where need be, you have to make sure that you use the mind maps. The mind maps are very good. They would help you to sum up the concepts that you need to know per topic. And then also you should have worked through at least the 3 past exam papers. So if we take into the 3 past exam papers, we're looking at 2024, 2023, as well as 2022, and then it can be any of the exams that were written in those years. We know that there are also some supplementary exam papers that you can also access from the net. So try to make sure that you must have at least worked through the past papers as much as you can, not limiting yourself to the 3. And then also what you need to do is to make the flashcards on concepts. So remember, we've been emphasizing this, that you need to know all your concepts. So for all the concepts that you are going to have an understanding of, it would be advisable to have the flashcards. And then to learn with mnemonics, and these are techniques that are used to aid information retention or retrieval. So if there's anything that it's something that you want to recall or to keep into your mind so that you don't forget, you use this technique. It can be in the form of rhymes. Some of the candidates, they sing out their notes, or they rhyme their notes. And then also you can also form some abbreviations that will help you to recall the knowledge that you have learned, and any other technique that can help you as an individual to recall. So mainly here we're looking at any strategy that you can think of that can help you to recall the information, especially your concepts. However, with the other information, you need to apply the knowledge. From knowing your concept, then you can be able to apply the knowledge. Okay, we've got your YouTube videos, such as the one that we are doing today. However, today we are just giving an overview of the whole of paper 1, but our previous lessons were on weekly basis, where we were looking at all of the content that you were taught throughout the year. And these videos, they date back as 2022. You can still look at those videos. All these are either on YouTube, or you can go onto the Pagama and you will see all our videos there. So these are some of the study tips that can help you to visualize this geographic information that you need and the processes thereof, right? For tomorrow, we are saying that you should arrive at the exam center as early as that you can be seated at 8 o'clock. So making sure that the earliest that you can be in the exam center, but you should be seated by 8 o'clock. However, in terms of the arrival time, I know there are schools that you should be at school as from 7, 7:30. So what we are giving you as the exam compliance, you should be seated by 8 o'clock, not walking in or trying to gather your stationery around the time. And that is for tomorrow. And then make sure that you have all your stationery that you're going to need for the exam. You are using a blue pen, and then you also need a pencil. You must have a pencil. I would also emphasize that it should be sharp, or if not, make sure that you've got a sharpener with you, that it will keep it sharp. And then your ruler, and a ruler, it must be a long, it should be a 30 centimeter ruler. That's the longest that you can have in the exam. And it is more advisable that your ruler should have clear units that you can be able to interpret when you are doing measurements there. Highlighters, it's part of the stationery. However, we know as per the exam rules that you can only use your highlighter on the question paper, but not on your answer sheet. So no highlighters on your answer sheet. And then also you need a protractor as well as a calculator. Okay. If you need something from the stationery list and maybe you are not able to buy it yourself or what, ask your educator to help you. And I think they may have something in their stock to just assist you in that regard. And then use the 10 minutes reading time to read through all the questions. Often when we observe or monitor the exams, some of the learners, they don't use this 10 minutes reading time effectively. And that's where you need this 10 minutes so that you can gather your thoughts as and when you go through the questions. And then it will help you to plan your answers mentally. Remember, at that time, you are not allowed to have any pen or pencil with you. So you have to use that 10 minutes so that you can gather your answers and plan how to approach the exam. So you cannot pick up your pen during this reading time. Okay, then the other thing, you must follow the instructions clearly. Read through the questions thoroughly and follow the instructions. Don't rush through the paper. You have to try by all means to stay calm as possible. You have 3 hours to work on to the exam. So if you use your time wisely, you will even have ample time to go back and recheck your answers. Answer every single question. Do not leave blank spaces. This is something that I often have a challenge with some of the candidates that will even leave some short objective questions unanswered. So try by all means to answer all your questions. If there is any question that needs you to gather your thoughts, you can just skip it. But however, make sure that when you manage your time effectively, you go back and put the correct answer down. And then use the following time management as a guideline. We said you've got 3 hours. So however, this is how we advise you to use your time effectively. 60 minutes for question 1 and then 60 minutes for question 2. And then you've got your 45 minutes that you can spend on question 3. So you can even see that we are suggesting that your question 3, regardless of the fact that it's 30 marks, but you can still use your time sufficiently so that you can score more marks there, about 45 minutes for that question 3. So that leaves you with 15 minutes to make sure that you have answered all your questions. So when you manage your time, and then this 15 minutes will be there for you to go back and check those questions that maybe you need to still go recheck. Before you start, take a deep breath and make sure that you relax. Don't panic. Read your questions with understanding. So you read your question. If it means you must read it twice so that you can understand exactly what is it that you are asked of, you do so. So read questions with understanding. Make sure that about the meaning, or make sure that you have a clear understanding of the meaning of the verbs. So we've been having a list of verbs that we requested teachers to have in your learner books. There's quite more than what we are going to show to you here. Like, for an example, a verb on account. So a question, if it's asking you to account, it requires you to give an answer where you are explaining the cause. So you are accounting for why this thing is happening. So the cause of that, so as to explain why are we having such effect, or if we're talking, why do we have that development of such a weather phenomenon. So when you account, you give the reason, your reasoning, why is that happening. And then some of the verbs can be defined, which is most common in most of the your low order type of questions, on your source-based questions, where the first question that you can come across, it can ask you to define. So when you define, you give a concise and a clear meaning. So it's a concept. You may not have it verbatim as in the textbook, but you should show understanding that you have a clear meaning of what concept you are asked of. Then you can be asked to explain. When you explain, you're making a clear presentation, or you are interpreting, or you are either spelling out the material. So you are just giving clear explanation. You are outlining your interpretation of whatever that you are asked of. So that's your explain. And then we've got this high order type of verbs that you also need to have a clear understanding, and often most of candidates are finding difficulty in dealing with this. Explain why or explain how. So when you answer these questions, you must make sure that you give a factor and a qualifier. So you are explaining something, and then you're giving us the reason. How is that happening, or why is that happening? So you are giving out the factor and the qualifier. So the qualifier answers what? The how part or the why part of it. And then when you are explaining, you are giving a clear, meaningful interpretation of what you are asked of. So in your response, you must give why is that happening, and also how is it happening. So this is the example that we have just picked up for you. So if you have, for an example, a question like this, according to the infographic, the system is re-intensifying. So that's one thing that you need to underline there. The system is re-intensifying, meaning it is getting stronger in Mozambique Channel. So it's given that according to the infograph, the system that we are looking at, it's getting stronger. Where? In the Mozambique Channel. So now the question now says, explain why the weather system will re-intensify. So this is the situation that we are having, to say that this weather system along the Mozambique Channel, it is re-intensifying, it's getting stronger. Then explain why is that happening. So if we look at the area of occurrence, for an example, within the Mozambique Channel. So we know that your Mozambique Channel, those are the oceans that are warmer. And then which system maybe can we be referring to here? We can be referring to the tropical cyclone, looking at the area of occurrence there, or we can be looking at the development of the line thunderstorm, which affects the eastern part of the country. So I'm just giving an example of anything that can be influenced by the Mozambique Channel. So now the question says, explain why the weather system will re-intensify in that channel. So you are going to have to spell out a clear interpretation of why do we have that system re-intensifying along the Mozambique Channel. So this is just but an indication of what the question is. The question is asking you to explain why the weather system re-intensifies. And then what could be the reasons? This is because the climatic condition in Mozambique favor the regeneration of the cyclone. So this is the situation to say that the climatic conditions where in the Mozambique Channel favors the regeneration of the cyclone. And then why is this the case? This is because there is warm air that is flowing off the Mozambique current that causes air to rise. So these are preconditions that are existing, that the climatic conditions in Mozambique Channel favor the regeneration of the cyclone. So conditions that exist within Mozambique, they are favorable for the development of this weather system. And then, but why is it that they are favorable? It's because there is warm air that is flowing off the warm Mozambique current, and then it causes the air to rise. And then the other reason it could be because there's combination, it's combined with moisture. So there is more moisture that is present there, and therefore there is more evaporation that is taking place, which results in what? In latent heat that is provided during the condensation. So all these are favorable conditions that are existing there that influence the weather system to intensify. And in this case, we're looking at what? We're looking at a cyclone. So that is how we are responding to this question, to say that it's because there's a climatic conditions that are in the Mozambique Channel that favors the regeneration of the cyclone. And then what are those? There's warm air that is flowing off the Mozambique current, and that causes the air to rise. And then secondly, you can say that there is more moisture, or there is more evaporation, which results in latent heat that is lost, and that is during the condensation. So all these, they are the factors that are propelling, or they are resulting in the regeneration of the cyclone. So all these would be your answers. So that's a factor to say that there is warm air along the warm Mozambique current, and then the fact that this warm air, it causes the air to rise. So there is more of the convections, that the convection currents along the warm Mozambique Channel. And then the other reason is there's more moisture, or there is evaporation, which is a factor. And then what does this do? It leads to the latent heat that is provided for, and condensation takes place. So all these are your factor, which is the warm air. And then how then the warm air results in the regeneration of the cyclone? It causes the warm air to rise. And then here we're saying there's more moisture, and then this more moisture results in the latent heat that is released during the condensation process. Right, so that's another way in which you look into how you respond to questions. So when you respond to such a question, you must be able to pick up what is your factor and what is your qualifier. Well, your qualifier, it's what you give as a reason, the resultant part of. Then you can also be asked to draw. So you must be able to draw if being asked to do so. In this case, we're just giving you an example here. Draw the symbol that is used on a synoptic weather map to represent a tropical cyclone. So we want a symbol that is used where? On a synoptic weather map to represent what? A tropical cyclone in the southern hemisphere. So we don't read questions halfway through, but you must read right through to the end. So because when you don't read such a question, you can end up drawing a tropical cyclone in the northern hemisphere, whereas the question, it requires you to draw the symbol in the southern hemisphere. So this is just but an example of the question when you are asked to draw a symbol that represents a tropical cyclone. So here we look at the circulation, which is clockwise. So we can see that it's showing us a clockwise. So here we've got your clockwise circulation. So from there, it still gives you clockwise into the center. This way, it still is showing you clockwise into the center of this low pressure system. So your strength of showing you the symbol must emulate the circulation thereof. So which is clockwise like that. And then This is where? In the southern hemisphere. And then if you are asked of the symbol, to draw the symbol of the tropical cyclone, how it's represented on a synoptic weather map in the northern hemisphere, now the strength that you are following would be in that direction. So you can see from here, the direction that we are following, it is anti-clockwise. So that also would be according to the hemisphere here. So this the pointing direction of the symbol here emulates the hemisphere that you will be asked of. So that is in the northern hemisphere. Right. Then you can also be asked to draw a rough cross profile of the river valley. So here, if the question asks you to draw a cross profile of the river valley at B. So we have this profile that has been drawn showing the source and the sea there. So if then you are asked to draw a cross profile, so that's a longitudinal profile. However, if you are asked to draw a cross profile, this is how you will respond. And look at the marks distribution here. So it's 2 times 1, meaning that from this diagram, your marks are allocated for showing the steep slopes and also drawing the correct shape. So there's your steep valley slopes, and the fact that you have nailed the shape. It's a V. It's a narrow V-shaped that you have there. Right, if you come across a question of a paragraph, as I've indicated that you should try by all means to gather the marks as much as possible on this section, tips on writing a paragraph. So when you read a question on a paragraph, make sure that you underline the main topic of the question. So you read the question, you underline the main topic of the question, and then you also underline what? The action words. If the question asks you to explain or to discuss or to suggest, those are your verbs. That is the command word that is used in the question. And then also underline the focus area. So these are all the important things that you need to make sure that you underline. The focus area of the question. Note that some of the paragraph questions require 2 aspects. So some of the paragraph questions you need to respond on 2 parts or 2 issues, and these must either be discussed or explained, and you cannot leave one out. So if you have a question that is in 2 parts, you must make sure that you answer both the sections. So it must be in equal parts. Equal parts in a sense that you don't leave one part of that paragraph question. And then write in full sentences to explain your answers. No bullets, no dash. It should be full sentence. You write full stop, you continue, you write full stop, you continue, write. So this should just be in this way, where you don't have any bullet that you're going to use, or the star, any form of symbol that you can have. You just have a sentence and a full stop. You continue on the same line, a sentence and a full stop, just like that. And when the question requires you to have in a length of 8 lines, that is just the guideline. However, some of the paragraph questions, when you respond to them, you can go beyond 8 lines, but that is just the guideline on the length. And then avoid repetition, because you are asked to answer a paragraph of 8 marks, and it therefore requires you to have 4 facts multiplied by 2. That will give you your 8. So this is just an example also. In a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, suggest strategies the local municipality can implement to reduce pollution of the river abyss. Okay, in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, suggest strategies the local municipality can implement or put in place to reduce the pollution. So your 4x2, which gives you your 8 marks, meaning you must mention 4 facts and not repeating. And also you're making sure that your facts are not vague as well. All right, so that is just but a guideline on the amount of information. We cannot just leave it to be open. So at least we're trying to limit you to 8 lines so that you can collect your ideas within that limit. And then the other part of this paragraph question, it's your question verb there, which is suggest there, to propose an explanation or a solution. All this, you are going to write it in sentences. So what strategies do we want? We want strategies from the local municipality that they can put in place. To do what? To reduce pollution rather. So these are your key areas. So that's just a guideline. What are you asked? Who should come up with the strategies? Is the local municipality. What strategies are they coming up with? They're coming up with the strategies to reduce pollution, right? Where? On the Abyss River. So hold the river treatment plant accountable. So from the local area there is a river treatment plant, so they should be held accountable. So they must be responsible enough in whatever that they are doing so that they don't pollute the Abyss River. And then also give some legislation which should be adhered to. And then for those that are contaminating or that are not adhering to the legislation, we impose fines on them. And then also what we are suggesting is that you should plan or control developments in the area. So the local municipality, remember who are responsible for this. We are saying the local municipality should plan or control the developments. So we shouldn't find just settlements that are just mushrooming anywhere along this river. And then also limit deforestation. And then we're saying they should limit deforestation there and promote afforestation. So when you limit, we're saying there shouldn't be trees that are cut down. However, we're encouraging more plantation of trees there. And then buffering. So when we buffer, this would be linked to what? It will be linked to controlling the developments. So buffer your catchment area of the Abyss River so that there shouldn't be any illegal developments around there. And then also, what other strategies are we suggesting? We are also saying that the local municipality can manage the dumping of the industrial waste. So the waste management should be well controlled, and it should make sure that it's not just done legally. So patrollers can be can be on a standby there to monitor the rivers. So there can be some patrollers that are on a standby there to monitor the rivers, repair, upgrade, or equip water supply network, because we need to sustainably make sure that the river is kept, the water is kept clean there. Maintain or service the river water treatment plant. So this water treatment plant, it must be serviced, it must be maintained for it to do a thorough, effective work of water treatment there. And then provide incentives to the local operators there where maybe, for an example, you try to encourage them not to just be ignorant and causing more pollution. So the companies or people that are operating around this Apis River can be incentivized so that they can also try by all means to maintain the good quality of the river there, and then create awareness of maintaining the water quality. So the communities should also be well informed on how to make sure that the river is kept in its good condition, so we can educate the community on the importance of reducing river pollution, ensure that the stormwater management is effective, and then ensuring that there is conservation of wetlands, as these wetlands are of importance to neutralize the pollutants. The proper land use, so there should be proper planning and not just developments that are happening uncontrolled. Regular environmental impact assessment. So there should be regular checks on the quality of the water there through organizations, the EIA, and then also placing sufficient refuse bins in the area. So though these, it says that everybody that is around the Apis River would take responsibility. All right, so these are just but the examples of the short objective questions on geomorphology. Or rather, let me go back. I'm just trying to get the diagram that is supposed to be linked to this. Can I just check on why are we not having the diagram?
Excellence. Excellence is a habit. Excellence is a quality you have, a quality I have. It's a quality we have when we honor what is true to us. Yes, we are gifted differently. uNkulunkulu akasinganga ngokufana. Excellence is striving for your best. Whenever you have a particular project, test, homework, uzibuze, ask yourself, is this my best? Can I put in more effort? Excellence is striving to be in the top 1% of the area in which you are gifted. And so I challenge you, in every single thing that you do, in every single area that you're gifted in, whether it's sports, it's academic, ucula, whatever that gift is, strive for excellence.
Okay, boys and girls, this is the short objective question that I just wanted to show you. Just some of the past exam questions that were asked in relation to the drainage patterns. So it says various types of drainage patterns are illustrated by sketches P to U below. Choose the answer and write only the letter next to the question number 211 to 218 in the answer book. And then you're given an example there. So this question, it says drainage pattern P is known as is it a dendritic, trellis, rectangular, or deranged pattern? Right. Quickly, as and when I'm reading this question, you must look into the diagrams that we have. This is the diagram that we are looking at. When you look at this, is it a dendritic, is it a trellis, or is it a rectangular or deranged pattern? All right. What is important is that for you to be able to determine the drainage pattern, you look at the streams, how they are, and that will help you, because now you are just identifying. So you look at the characteristics of this drainage pattern P. So the correct answer there would be a dendritic. So when you look at this is the mainstream. So we've got the mainstream that we have there, and then these are the tributaries that are joining the mainstream. And then when you look at these tributaries, why are we saying it is the dendritic? It's because when you look at the entire drainage pattern there, it has that tree-like, it has the shape of the branches of a tree. So that would be the correct one there. So we look at the most closely pattern that you can identify here. I know some of the diagrams can raise some debate, but in this case, we're looking at that pattern as a dendritic pattern. So it's not a trellis, it's not a rectangular and deranged. So that tributaries there are joining at an acute angle. That is the characteristics. And then we've got your short tributaries that are in a shape of a branch of a tree. Okay. And then the next question, also we are still on these drainage pattern. Let's look at the question there. It says the underlying rock structure of the drainage pattern T. So now we are looking at this drainage pattern. When you look at this drainage pattern, the underlying rock, remember these patterns are determined by the underlying rock. So is it a massive igneous rock? Is it a dome or a volcano rock strata? Or is it an inclined strata? Or is it a rock that has got major faults? So all these could be the characteristics of any of these drainage patterns, but we want that now is the structure that is that determined the drainage pattern T. All right. And then when you look at that, we are saying that this is an inclined strata. An inclined strata would be characterized by the rocks that are hard and soft. So between these streams that we have here, that's where the river is flowing. That's the streams that are flowing here. This would be your softer rock. So what separates these streams would be a hard rock, and then there's a soft rock where the river flows. Mind you, it would find the softest rock to flow through, and then we would have a hard. So we are having the strata that is more or less inclined in that. So where streams are flowing, it would be where the rock is softer. Okay, so it is an inclined strata that is the underlying rock, and its characteristic is that this inclined strata has got hardened soft rocks. Then the other question, in drainage pattern Q, So we now here, the stream order at X, is it, what stream order is it? And could it be because of the increase or the decrease with heavy rainfall? So stream order, so it means now when you go to the diagram, this is where X is. So the source of the stream, these are your source points. These are your source. This is where the river starts to flow. Then you start calculating your stream order from the source. So this, it's a 1, and this also, it's a stream order 1. So when you go to this other tributary also, there's stream order 1 there, and then there's stream order 1 there. So when you look at this diagram, there's a point where these stream order 1 are meeting. So this point of confluence that we can identify them. So where a 1 plus a 1, it would give you stream order 2. So again here, we've got the source, which is 1, another source, there's a 1, and then there's another source here that's plus 1. So stream order 1 and a stream order 1, it's the order is changed to 2. So when you look at this, also, I'm just showing you a confluence here. There's a point of confluence. That's where the stream order changed. It's a 1 and a 1, then the order changed. So here we've got 2, and then also here we've got another 2. So now we've got a 2 plus 2. Where do we see it? This stream order and this stream rather and that stream, they meet here at X. So where they meet, the order changes. So what is the correct answer? We are going to rule out this one, and then we are going to take 3 as the answer. So then this, the change in the order, is it, what is it? Is it because of the increase or is it because of the decrease in heavy rainfall? So when there's heavy rainfall, then it means there would be more of the stream orders, which then result in the increase in the stream order. So the correct answer there, it would be a 2 and an increase in rainfall. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer there is option C. So there is an increase in rainfall, which says there's more streams now. So the more the streams, the higher the order. So when you calculate the stream order there, it will be increasing due to more of the first order streams that meet, and they increase the order there. Right, this is another short objective type of a question. With this one, you have to look at the statements in column A and match them to the concept in column B, and then your instruction is to choose between X. Is it X, or in this case, it's okay, according to this, the example, it's Y and Z here, of which we can just change the instruction there to say you choose between Y and Z. So there's no X for this one. Right, A refers to, okay, a pollution dome or a heat island refers to the higher temperatures in the urban areas with decreasing temperatures towards the rural areas. So when we have higher temperatures in the urban areas and there's a decrease in temperatures towards the rural areas, what do we have? Is it a pollution dome or is it a heat island there? The correct answer there is a heat island. So it's a concept. When you describe, when you define heat island, you will indicate that when there's high temperatures in the urban areas with the decreasing temperatures towards the rural areas. Then number 2, a factor contributing to higher temperatures in the urban areas. So what is it that contributes to these higher temperatures? Is it because of the dense buildings or is it because of the green belts? The correct answer there, it's dense buildings. There's more highly concentrated buildings there that results in this urban heat island. Heat islands are more dominant during the day or night. When exactly do we experience this? They are more dominant during the day. This is mainly because of the human activities that are taking place during the day. Then there's more of convection heat that is transferred into the atmosphere. Then that results in higher during the day. And then would it be an effective strategy to reduce the heat island? I mean, which one would be the effective strategy to reduce the heat island? The correct answer there is when we plant more trees, they would cool off the temperatures there. Multiple reflections of the sun's rays in urban areas are caused by, so the surfaces that we find in most of the urban areas that are made of glass, they are the ones that results in more heat being transferred there. There's more reflections of the sun's rays in urban areas due to the glass surfaces. And then heat islands are more likely to favor the formation of, I said there's more convection, so there's more of warm air that is rising, so therefore it will result in the formation of rainfall there. And then is it, what effect is it on people? Will it be the heat stroke or reduced visibility? Due to high temperatures, most of the people there, they suffer heat strokes there. Okay, this is also a source-based question that says you must refer to the diagram on braided streams. Braided streams and deltas form when dominant processes are, is it a erosion or deposition? So we have a diagram that is showing us the braided stream there, and then we also have the indication of the delta there. So which process is responsible for the formation of braided stream as well as deltas? Is it because of erosion or deposition there? And then rather, let me just go back to just the questions. State one physical similarity between the braided stream and delta. So how it looks like in nature, like the nature of how it looks like. You must state similarity. What is the same about this, the braided stream as well as the delta? Give two reasons why braided streams are more common in the lower course of the river, and then why do deltas do not form in all rivers? So why they do not form in all rivers, and explain why deltas are suitable for agriculture. All right, so those are your questions on delta and braided stream. And then these are your answers. However, the process that is dominant, it's deposition. And then the physical similarity between a braided stream and a delta is that there's evidence of deposited material forming what? The sandbank. So when you look at the braided stream, these darker places here that you can identify, it's those sandbanks. And then when you look on the other side, these dotted islands that you can identify here, they forming the sandbanks there. Give two reasons why the braided stream are common in the lower course of the river. Why do we have these developing there? It's because where the river is flowing slower. And how is the slope? The slope there, it is more gentle. And then it is the lower course, therefore there is more deposition than erosion. And then the river is much more wider in the lower course. So these are ideal reasons why the braided streams are common in the lower course of the river. Why do deltas not form in all rivers? So not all the rivers can result in the formation of the deltas. If the river mouth flows into a sea with strong currents, so if the river mouth has got strong currents or high tides, we cannot have the deltas being formed there because the sediments are carried away instead of being deposited. Remember, we said the main process must be deposition. And then when a river enters the deep sea, the sediments sink and they do not build up. So if then there's strong currents, instead of the water, sediments that should be laid down there, they sink and therefore they can't build up. Rivers that carry little or no sediments cannot form delta. So if there's no sediments, in some areas, water spreads too quickly or washes the deposits away, preventing the delta. So all this, when there's this fast flow of the river, that's why we cannot have deltas being formed there. All right, then explain why deltas are suitable for agriculture. It's because there's fine silt and alluvium that is formed there. It makes the nutrients. Deltas are close to rivers and often have many distributaries, providing good water supply for irrigation. So there is good water supply. And the land where deltas are formed, it's generally flat, which makes it easier to plow or plant or even irrigate the the crops. Many of the deltas are located in warm, wet conditions. So that's why then these areas are suitable for agriculture. Right, boys and girls, I am going to leave this platform to Rina to continue. However, with the next source-based question, she will just take you through and then we conclude on the Mapwork as well. Thank you.
Welcome back, grade 12. Thank you to Ms. Zondi for taking you up to here. I am Rina van Heerden and I will take you further. A next example of a source-based question is where the examiners can ask you on an extract. That means it is either from a textbook or from a newspaper or from a news article or whatever else, but there will be a text and you have to read through the text. So you will see that some of the questions are coming directly from the text. Here you can see it says according to the article, from where do most rural people get their water? What percentage of rural communities lack access to a reliable water? Just go back and quote another service delivery issue. So 3 of the 15 marks here comes directly from the text. More question examples with reference to the article. With reference to the article, that means you need to refer back to the article. Identify the main causes of the water problem in rural communities. Now we go further on and I ask you interpretation questions regarding the article. Suggest 2 sustainable solutions that the government can introduce to overcome the lack of access of water in rural communities, and then discuss how. Discuss how it's like, explain why there must be a factor and a qualifier. Discuss how the lack of access to water will impact on the economy of rural communities. Okay, I'm just quickly going to refer to the answers according to the article from where do most people get their water, and there it says local wells and pumps. You can see it's there. What percentage of rural community lack access to reliable water sources? And there is the answer, 74%. Quote another service delivery issue mentioned in the article. It's basic sanitation, and there you can see the answer. The next few questions with reference to the article, identify the main causes of the water problem in rural communities. It says immigration and population growth. So there you can see again, answers come directly from the passage. Then the two more middle and high order questions suggest sustainable solutions that the government can introduce to overcome the lack of access to water. Bring tap systems in, use water trucks, a communal tap water system that could make use of groundwater or rainwater. Then also discuss how the lack of access to water will impact on the economy. It can affect businesses. Businesses will close down and it will become ghost towns. People will lose their jobs, unemployment, which means there's less money in the area to for them to spend, so there will be reduced spending. It will have an impact on agricultural activities, a lack of reliable water that can impact your farming yield. That means they harvest less and they've got less income. Younger economically people, they leave the rural areas and there's nobody left that can do the job. It reduces economic growth and development in rural communities, and they give you lots of options and you only have to give 3. Now we come to the source-based question, which is based on an infographic. With the infographic, the examiner gives you a text in one source. It's one source, but the source consists of a text. The source consists of a map, and the source here consists of a graph. So it is 3 types of sources that forms an infographic. Now you will see the questions. What are berg winds? State 2 factors evident on the map that promote berg wind conditions. According to the extract, why does the temperature of air increases as it blows from Johannesburg to Durban? Determine the expected air temperature at Durban due to associated berg wind conditions. Why is the threat of wildfires greater during the day when berg winds occur? And explain why berg winds are associated with lower agricultural productivity on farms. So let's look at the answers. What are berg winds? Here you need to give a definition. A hot, dry wind blowing from the interior to the coast. Remember, all definitions are 2 marks. State 2 factors evident on the map that promotes berg wind conditions. There's a high pressure over the interior and there's a coastal low. So there you can see the high pressure. It is from the map. So the answer must be on the map. And then you have your coastal low. Just to show you where we got the answers from. The berg wind is a definition that you need to know. The next question, according to the extract, why does the temperature of the air increases as it blows from Johannesburg to Durban? So there is the passage. The answer is it undergoes heating caused by the adiabatic process of approximately 1 degree Celsius per 100 meters. And there you can see directly from the extract for 1 mark. They need to ask you a question on each of these pieces or sources in the infographic. Determine the expected air temperature at Durban to the associated berg winds due to associated berg wind conditions. So there's the extract, and there it says an example of this is a parcel of air at 20 degrees descending from Johannesburg to Durban that would heat up by 15 degrees Celsius. If we take Johannesburg being at an altitude of 1,500 meters. So I'm going to take the 20 degrees as it is there. It's Johannesburg 20 degrees. I add the 15 because they say it's going to heat up with 15 degrees. So your answer will be 35 degrees Celsius. It's 2 marks because you literally have to make a calculation. So the answer is 35 degrees Celsius. Then, why is the threat of wildfires greater during, it's actually veldfires, greater during the day when the berg wind occurs? During the day, the sun heats up the land. Together with the hot berg winds, it's a hot dry wind, this increases the chances of plants and grass that can catch fire. Or you can say, the combination of heat, dryness and wind removes the moisture from the plants, making them burn more easily. So hot, dry wind. So if there are any moisture there, we will have the process of evaporation, which will make them easily burn. Explain why berg winds are associated with lower agricultural productivity on farms. So here is actually the answer in the previous question. If I have that, the dry berg winds bring dry air from the interior, and this will reduces the soil and plant moisture. That heat will let the moisture in the plants and the soil evaporate. These strong winds can physically damage the plants. We all have experienced a very, very strong wind. It can even uproot the plants. Berg winds make the vegetation dry, which increase the chances of wildfires, and this can destroy crops and grazing land. That means less of your crops will be harvested for you to sell. A hot, dry and dusty conditions reduce grazing quality. So also there you have many options. I just want to go back quickly. So you can see here the mark allocation is 2 times 2, and here we are giving you 4 options. So any 2 of these answers is supposed to appear in your answer to get full marks. Okay, we're going over now to question 3. Tomorrow, question 3 will consist of map work. So we are going to show you some different ways of how they can ask map work. Which illustration below represent the map index for the topographical map of Escort? Now, Escort topographic map was 2929 BB Escort. Now, instead of asking you to draw it, they are giving you 4 options. So you need to know where this one will fit in. So 2929 means your latitude and your longitude is 2929. So I can see here all 4 diagrams have 2929. So the catch comes in here. I need to find a diagram with a big block B and a small block B. So this is B, there's B, there's B. These ones we can eliminate because they don't refer to B. Now the big block B and the small block B must be colored in. So this one is out because it's D. So I have here 29, 29, B, B. So the correct answer here will then be B. So they don't always have to just stick to numbers or alphabetical letters. They can also use a diagram for a multiple choice question. Then the index contour line in block A1 on the orthophoto map is 1822, 1835, 1840, or 1842. The first question that you must ask is, what is an index contour line? So if you take an index contour line is the darker or the thicker contour line. So if I have my map, I will see this line is a bit thicker and darker than the other lines. So the thick line of the contours are your index contour line. So in this case, you will see there, it is that specific contour line. So this spot height is 1840. So we must look at, it's an orthophoto map, so it is most probably 5 meters is the contour interval. So closest to 1842 is this one. So your answer must be a rounded number, and it will be 8420. Now I have this map clip. The grid reference for spot height 1872 on the topographical map is 28, 30, 32 minutes, 32 seconds south, 28 degrees, 33 minutes, 15 seconds east, or B, 28 degrees, 33 minutes, 32 seconds south, or 28 degrees, 17 minutes, 15 seconds east, or 28 degrees, 32 minutes, 32 seconds south, or 28 degrees, 18 minutes, 15 seconds east, or D, 28 degrees, 34 minutes, 32 seconds south, or 28 degrees, 15 minutes, 15 seconds east. So first of all, this is spot height 1872. So I draw my straight line there. I draw my straight line there. And we start with the latitude. So if that is 28 degrees, 32 minutes, this one will be 33 minutes. If that is 28 degrees, 17 minutes, it stays there. So I'll see more or less it's in the half. So I start off here by 38 degrees. I need to look for 32. I need to look for 33. That's the only one with 33 minutes. 17. So it's actually very easy to eliminate it here. And your answer here will be number B. Just by looking and make sure your minutes is correct. What we want to show you here is that I can ask you grid reference also in the form of a multiple choice. Now here's an example of where they are giving you the gradient. The illustration below represents the average gradient between 6 and 7 on the orthophoto map. So I want you tomorrow to highlight whether you work on the orthophoto map or on the topographic map. So there it is. They ask you to determine the vertical interval of the illustrated gradient. They ask you is the illustrated average gradient between 6 and 7 on the orthophoto map gentle or steep, and state how the illustrated average gradient influenced the human activities between 6 and 7 on the orthophoto map. So there is 6, determine the vertical interval. So if I take the 6 is 1645 and 7 is 1642. I subtract the 2 because I want the vertical interval. The vertical interval is where you find the difference in height. So I take the two heights, I subtract it from each other, and we get 3 meters. That's for 1 mark. Then number B is the illustrated average gradient by 6 and 7 on the orthophoto map gentle or steep? It's very gentle. You can even see it here, which means most probably on the map the contour lines are further apart. State how the illustrated average gradient influenced the human activities between 6 and 7. We can do human activities because it is very flat. Farming is possible for crops because it's flat. You can even build roads there. It's relatively flat, so it's easier to build roads there. Okay, refer to the topographical map. State the purpose of the row of trees in block A5 and B5. So there is the row of trees that we are talking about. There's the other row of trees. So if you look there, these rows of trees are, yeah, it's next to this cultivated land here. You can see here as well, it's next to the road. So what will be the purpose of the trees? It can act as a windbreak. So for this cultivated land that I have there, there's rows of trees there. It might be that the wind are coming from this side. So these trees will protect your crops from strong winds so that it doesn't damage the cultivated land. It can also be there to reduce, specifically here next to the river, to reduce soil erosion. The roots of the trees holding the soil together. Okay, refer to streams F in block A2 and G in block D1 on the topographical map. In which direction does stream F in block A2 flow? Boys and girls, they like to ask direction of flow. So make sure you know that. There is stream F in block A2. They ask you now, in which direction does the river flow? The answer is southwesterly. I'm going to show you how. You see this area here is high. It is a mountain. So you can see 1940 is there. So every time that you go there, it becomes higher. Your smallest stream order, though, is here in the mountain. So this river starts in the mountain and it's flowing down. So this one order becomes a 2 order. So it's flowing down there. That means it's coming down, it's flowing in that direction, which is southwest. So look at your contour lines and remember, a river always flows from the high to low. The GIS. The dam at H in block B3 on the topographical map is a what feature and is considered to be doiki water. This is a complex multiple choice question that they ask for GIS content. So the dam, there's the dam in H3 by B3. Is it a polygon or a line feature? It's a big area that's been covered by the dam. So it can only be a polygon. It's not a line feature. And it is considered to be, is it perennial or non-perennial water? There's water in, I can see it. So it's always there. So it's going to be perennial. So I must go and look for the option that says 1 and 3, and it is A. So they can use any other method asking GIS. Refer to block C4 and C5 on the orthophoto map together with the sketch below on remote sensing. There's the remote sensing picture. There is C4 and C5 on the orthophoto map. So I need to check both. Now the question is, identify the remote sense device in the sketch. Remote sense was used to generate the image used to create the orthophoto map. Is the resolution of the photo map high or low? Give a reason for your answer to question 3.3.3, and the cost of developing infrastructure in block C4 and C5 will be more or less. I just want to take you back to the orthophoto map, and I also want to, as always, they want a reason. Okay, I'll come back to that later. Let's go to the answers. Identify the remote sensing device. If you have looked at that drawn picture, you will remember it's a satellite. Remember, a satellite or a camera is examples of remote sensing devices. They've used remote sensing to generate the photo. Now they ask us, is the resolution of the orthophoto map high or low? The orthophoto map, we could clearly see what's going on there. The answer is high. So the follow-up question will be, give a reason for your answer. And we can see all features very, very clearly in that photo. And you can also come in with, it has got large number of pixels or it has smaller pixels. The cost of developing infrastructure in block C4 and C5 will be more or less. It will be more expensive. Can you remember? It's a very, very steep slope that was shown to us. And then the follow-up, give a reason. The gradient is very steep. Why? Because the contour lines are close together. Boys and girls, we are giving you this QR code. If you can play this video again, you can stop at this QR code. If you scan this QR code will take you to a lot of Mapwork videos that was given to us by the University of Johannesburg. So if you are not sure about a calculation, open up this QR code and it will guide you to many videos on Mapwork calculations. So, boys and girls, we have focused on the following during this presentation: the date of the exam, the layout of the paper, the study tips, the exam written techniques, important aspects to focus on, and exemplar questions. You can do this. We wish you all the best for tomorrow's paper. Relax, give your best, and see this as a very nice opportunity to prepare you for the final exam. Goodbye. See you next week.